Welcome to The Difference. Today, we want to ask you, what is your reason for being? We talk about being different, but what makes us different is what drives us, what is the very core of us. And so today, I want to talk to you, and Anthony's going to talk to you too, about what's at our core and why that makes us different. So stay tuned. Core.
You are listening to the Difference Podcast, and it's and it's sponsored by, we're laughing because this is the part I mess up every week, but we're just going to charge forward. Look, hey, we're not scared. We're not hiding anything here.
We're not here to be perfect.
It is sponsored by The Hour, a 54-year ministry that has just been around, longer than I've been alive, Steve. Not you. But it's been around, and this has been an organization. It's gone through television, it's gone through radio, it's gone through. Right now, we've got online streaming, we've got episodes, we've got programs, we have pallet-to-pallet episode. We have all kinds of stuff online at thehour.org. So check out our Hour stream, and you will find all kinds of good stuff. Keith Tonkel, all kinds of wonderful, wonderful things. So stream those online at thehour.org. But now, here it is. My dear friend, my brother, Steve Castillo.
Thank you, man.
That was
Look,
nice,
as we get ready for the holiday season, I don't know about you, but you know how my wife is about Christmas. She wanted so much to decorate the house before Thanksgiving, but we thought the family was coming, and then when they all didn't get to show up, she's been regretting. So we have been decking the halls in the brightest of ways, and doing it. Sometimes I get a little grinchy, but once I love the way she makes our house feel. She loves Christmas as much as anything, and I've always loved it, but she's made me love it even more, because as we're kind of creating our holiday traditions, and we each have our own tasks, and I get to decorate outside, she gets to decorate inside. You come to my backyard and you're going to see colored lights everywhere. Now, you're not going to see them in the house so much, except on one little tree, but I get to freelance outside. And so this season to me is joyous, and we talked about this a little bit in the last episode. It's not always joyous for everybody, but here's the deal. We can't tamp that joy down, because it's not joyful for all of us. We're all in seasons. And so today we want to take some time. I want us to talk about some of our family traditions, some of your favorite memories of Christmas. And as we're sharing them, we're inviting you to kind of think about, those Christmases. My favorite Christmases have not always been memories of the presents. It's just been things that have happened and wonderful stories. And then kind of at the end, we're going to talk a little bit about Christmases we had that really made a difference. Those unexpected gifts God gave us through service or doing with others that just kind of gave us that depth of insight into what Christmas is really about. So as you think about how big was Christmas when you were growing up?
Well, my dad was a coach, and we shrimped in the summers, so if we were to buy an air conditioner or a television or something, it usually happened in the summer when Dad had some extra money. So Christmas was definitely not about big presents and things. I will go back and look at pictures, and as a parent, I just think about, I can remember different Christmases, my dad going into the back room and hearing him cry because they didn't have enough to give us or something, or what he felt like he wanted to give us. And I think about that, and being a parent now, of course, and you think, gosh, we give so much junk, and we give so many things that aren't lasting and of eternal value, and all of this, or plasticky kind of stuff, or gizmos. We try to think of things that are going to be a little more meaningful and things, but I look back to, we got a battleship game, electronic battleship one year, and that was our big present, and we played that stupid game over and over. Or getting BB guns one year, and we've got photos of us outside shooting the BB gun. or a BB gun that we shared, I mean, and we're all in jackets and my dad in his coaching shorts out there.
He'll shoot your eye out.
Exactly. I think about memories like that, but more than the presents, I got a Tonka truck one year, a Tonka toy kind of thing. I mean, I loved all that kind of stuff, little Matchbox kind of cars. Well, I like the pocket cars better, but playing little cars, and I would just play for hours in the driveway or and then the Dukes of Hazzard, they'd always have a wreck or something, so every once in a while I would put a car out there so that my mom would, when she would back up, she would run over that little car and smush it so that I would have a car that had been
So you've
wrecked.
always been a producer.
I mean, I was producing my own little shows and all, but more than the toys and that kind of thing, I really do. I think back to things like getting my Papa Vernon and Mima Ruby and all of them, taking the kids. And one year we went to the movie and saw 10 Commandments, and I remember we all loaded up in the back of his Datsun truck with the little camper on the back, and I mean, we're all just piled in the back of his truck and went to see the movies. We saw Coal Miner's Daughter like that, going to eat at Morrison's. And that was a big deal to go out and eat. I mean, and to go somewhere like that. And I think of Keith at Piccadilly, loving the Piccadilly.
My gosh. Yeah.
And, of course, making us pay for it.
Exactly.
I love Keith. But it's those kind of things that I remember. And I can think of just a handful of presents over the years. But I think of those experiences together as a family.
I'm like you. I can think about it. I went through this secret agent stage, and this is way before your stab, but there was this thing called sixth finger, and you put it in your hand, but it would shoot bullets and stuff. And so I can remember getting sixth finger. That same year, I got a sonic blaster, which was this bazooka-like thing that you pumped full of air, and it shot air balls. Literally, you had targets that it would blow air balls away, and it just felt magical to me. But for most of our Christmases, we were kind of the prodigals of both of our families. Everybody else was in Oklahoma and Kansas, and so when it came Christmas time, especially when we were young, we would all load up in the station wagon, and Dad would work till his last day, and then he had this thing about driving straight through. Lord, we can tell stories of Dad driving through the night because he was going to get there, and whether it was usually a 15-hour drive, and it was just like they would try to leave early so we would still be asleep. There'd be 4 of us in that station wagon. And we'd drive to my grandmother Barnes. They had a little 5-acre farm in Miami, Oklahoma. And the memories I have, that was our family reunion time. It's the only time I ever really saw my cousins and my aunts and uncles and all my family. And that was the gathering place. And the kids all set up a giant pallet. Grandma would take the back porch and kind of screen it and visqueen it off, and that would be our pallet party that we would sleep in.
Parties, yeah.
And we just, you never went to sleep. It was always so much fun. And then the sounds and the smells are what my grandmother was an incredible cook, and she would always cook cinnamon rolls. And my grandpa was a coffee addict as well as a cigarette smoker, and he had this huge drippolator, and it was like clockwork. Every morning we would wake up and you'd hear this, and he was making that big pot of coffee for everybody, and the kids would get up stirring. And there were certain traditions. One of my prized possessions is a little green Christmas tree see-through jar that Grandpa used to keep his ribbon candy in. And he would get a container of hard candy, and he'd put it in there. And so part of Christmas is if you were good, you got to get a piece of Grandpa's hard candy. And if you were older and you were really good, you got to sit with Grandpa in his recliner and help him pack his pipe. And he would be smoking his pipe there, and you would sit beside him in the living room. There was the TV and his chairs and the Christmas tree. And it was just, I just remember, I can't tell you specific stories. I just remember the feeling of being there with all of us and the fun, and just also the sadness of when we had to load everything up and go home. It was just so cool to be there in that love. And my other grandmother, Castile, there weren't as many family dads Siblings were all older. There weren't a ton of relationships. So we would go to her house, and she was an incredible pie baker, and we would eat her stuff. It was just wonderful.
Steve is all choked up, ladies and gentlemen.
Literally. I'm smelling
You
the
okay?
top pipe tobacco
Do
and
you-
the Camel no filters.
Christmas.
There we go.
There's nothing that says Christmas like
Exactly.
unfiltered Camel. Well, the fun thing to me, I think back, my mother played piano in her church for forever growing up. All the churches that we attended when we were on the coast, she was always the pianist, and so she had grown up with music, and her mother had, Mama Ruby they had taken them to singing schools and learned shape note singing and all of this, and the Stamps Baxter song books, and my aunt Judy, she would sing, and she could play organ, and so they were all, it was a musical family, and we would get out those Heavenly Highway hymn books. And I love the Heavenly Highway hymns. It's my favorite songbook ever, and page 27, Mansion Over the Hilltop, and all of these songs. And that, growing up with me always having wanted to be in a Southern Gospel quartet, and later I was, and I played bass, and I played piano, and I sang, and harmonica, and all of this stuff, and traveled around. All of that was great. But it started with all of us just getting around Mama Ruby's piano, which was out of tune, but Mama would sit down and we would all sing, and it was just loud. Everybody, all the cousins, everybody just singing. And that's one of my big regrets, that I didn't do more of that with my kids growing up. And musical styles change, things happen, and just singing these old hymns. We just did the Eudora Welty documentary. I mention that all the time. Once Clint Brooks was coming to visit Eudora, and Bill Ferris was taking him to Eudora's house, and Eudora came out and met him at the car. He was one of the ones that had kind of first helped publish some of her things. So these old friends, and she came out to greet him at the car, and they wound up headed back to her house, walking arm in arm up the sidewalk to her house, singing Amazing Grace as they go into the house. Welty had a dinner party with Faulkner. It was in a place in Oxford, and it was just, they had dinner, and then all these people in Oxford just around the piano, and here's Faulkner and Eudora, they're all singing hymns around the piano. And that's something that, again, music changes and all of this, but we've lost something with those kind of moments, where now we might get together and, hey, let's all watch It's a Wonderful Life or something. All that's great. It's not the same thing as some of these older traditions, and I think we've lost something with that.
Yeah, you have the storytelling. That was one of the things that we loved when we go to Grandma and Grandpa's, is you would always have the adults start to play cards, and then they'd start telling stories. And the
They
kids
play
weren't
Rook
supposed
or
exactly.
Rummy or Rook?
They played canasta. They
Yeah.
played Rook. They played just so many different
That's
ones.
great.
And as a child, you would hang out to see if you could hear something you weren't supposed to hear. But mostly it was just the storytelling, and it was just so wonderful.
And did you get it to where they would start a story that you knew,
Exactly.
and you got excited because, I know this story, and I know what he's about to say.
And that's what made them better, is they became part of your own fabric and memory. And it was so funny because it depended on who told the story as to how the story went. And, you just begin to get this sense that, just like in Scripture, which was nothing but oral tradition passed down, we each have our own tradition and what
His story.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the things you're alluding to that we lose, is that we are losing some of that wonderful story. We're telling somebody else's story, not our story. And I think that sometimes if we would just back up and create our own family traditions and begin to go with it, and kids will say, oh, that's boring, but they love every minute of it, because it creates this sense of belonging, creates this sense of shared identity, creates this sense of pure love.
And it's no one else has that for them.
That's it.
No one else can provide that for them.
Right. I'm a character in this.
Yes.
Because it's my life.
Exactly.
I get to be a part of it, and I don't have to watch TV for it.
And
It's
I'm a
the
movie
real
guy.
stuff.
I love movies. I love all of that. I love losing myself in that. And that's nice, Clark. Real nice. We share all these. That's one of the more quotable things that I can say on this podcast from that movie. But there are things that we quote to each other and all,
Right.
and we have these shared memories and all. One thing. So my wife and I, she grew up, and some of her childhood was spent in Houma, Louisiana, and some of my childhood was spent on the coast. We watched the same television channels because it was all the New Orleans stations. So we had WWL, WDSU, and WVUE. So we would both watch the Muppet Show on Saturday night in different towns, in different states, in different worlds. We were watching the same broadcast of this channel. So we grew up with these shared memories of like the Muppets. And her grandfather would call them the Muffets. Are you watching those Muffets? But every year, for so many years, we've done a Muppet Christmas tree. We have so many little hand puppets and so many Muppet characters and Kermit dolls and stuff over the years. Jim Henson was born in Mississippi. So we have this heritage and connection with that. So we're proud of that. But we've always just loved the Muppets and having this shared memory. So our children have grown up. We have Muppets on the tree, and those are our ornaments, and and Miss Piggy is the angel on the top, of course.
Of course.
She has to be at the top, and we got Kermit, but we've got Ralph and Gonzo and all these things. And one year, we did not do a Muppet tree, and our children revolted. They could not believe we were not going to do a Muppet tree. So now we do the Muppet tree again. But how wonderful, even though that's not the same as the playing the cards and the singing around the piano, but any kind of shared memory that you have, anything that's meaningful for you, instead of saying, well, hey, we're not going to do the Muppet tree, live into that
Right.
and celebrate that.
There's a sacredness to that. When you talk about holy day, there's a holiness in that shared, as we said, memory and time together that, we talked about in last episode about God inhabiting and being with us. God loves a party. Read the Gospels.
Yeah.
There's constantly a festival or a feast, or the pictures of heaven are a big table with everybody sitting there, sharing a meal. And so I think we miss so much. It's great to have worship and liturgy and stuff, but it's even greater to have a Muppet tree, to have folks that are sharing together in their life, and those things mean something.
It's
to them.
meaningful.
And
You hit
that's
the right
it.
word there. You said one time that you don't want to have any objects in your home, like displayed or put, that don't have a story
Don't
behind
have a
them,
story.
that don't have meaning.
Right.
And it's not just a decoration you went and got at Hobby Lobby or something. It's objects with meaning. And I think those are the things that, who would think that was meaningful for our children or something? We gave Bryant's little Cars toys when he was young. We gave them away to another relative who, of course, didn't value them at all or something. And a couple of Christmases ago, we bought him some more, trying to make up for it, because he laments that we gave away his toys. Sydney, on the other hand, has not given away anything, and we have all of these in the attic and all. We have boxes of LPS and stuff, but those are meaningful to her.
Well, that's like with Carrie. It's been Legos from the time she was little.
Yeah.
She has an incredible collection of Legos, which she shows off at her office there at the University of Buffalo. So it is not just the thing, but who gave them the thing. And I think that as we come into this holiday season, we want to invite you guys to think about, what is it holy about this holiday? But I want us to close out with this. In all of our lives, there are moments when the real essence of Christmas, that sense that giving ourselves away, something that gifts us, that we're a part of, that changes us. And, I was thinking of tons of stories, a Christmas we did for a family in one of our churches where we bought a tree and took it and the kids decorated. But as I was just sitting here, I was thinking about something less dramatic even. One of the traditions we built as a family when I was in the ministry was Christmas Eve service was always one of our favorites, candlelight communion. And so we made it a family project where we would go early to the church and the kids would put the skirts on the candles and they would put them in the boxes, and Cindy and I would prep the area. We'd
Free labor for Christmas.
Exactly. And you know, they were trapped into it, but they loved it, and then they would take the candles and go. And there was something about the whole experience that as we would sit there, it was almost sacramental to put the skirts on the candles. But what really made it so special is in that moment when we had finished the communion service and we sang Silent Night, and the congregation is passing the light from one to another. And you realize that didn't happen without the skirts on the candles and the family being there. And it was just like kind of setting the table for a meal, preparing the meal for the family. There is this depth of meaning that comes from preparation and participation and the getting ready for it that makes something sacred. And still to this day, I always think I want to call the kids up and say, hey, y'all want to come put the skirts on the candles? Even though I don't have a church, we can make a circle of 5 or 6 and light our candles.
That's right. Or you just show up at a church and volunteer.
Exactly.
And Matt says, no, Dad, I'm fine.
No.
But Emmanuel, God with us,
Mm-hmm.
just being with us, being present. I love that word. I mean, with us.
Right.
And even if you're watching a movie, or even if you're, sometimes that can be a participatory thing, and you're joking and you're interacting with that and all, but it's still being together, or decorating the Muppet tree, or you're enjoying this pet that you don't have that many more years with, or a relative that you're like, I'm not sure all these people will be here next Christmas, and just being.
But really, I'm not dead yet.
Well, I don't. You're not. You're looking peaked. But being aware of this is not a rehearsal. This is the real thing. This is our one shot at this, and if we don't savor it now, and we don't savor these folks and enjoy these people and be present with them in the busyness and great events and great things, and we got to get there. We have scheduled in time of after the book signings, after the screenings. We've scheduled time to just be. And Amy said, we're going to get in our pajamas, and we're not going anywhere, doing anything. We are just going to be and light the fire and just be present. And I think that's what I'm looking forward to most this season.
Yeah.
Is that.
Well, and I think for me, I talked about the candlelight service. There's something communal about that too. My Uncle Eddie, who is one of my favorite uncles, passed away, and he was the jokester. He was loud and boisterous, and I can remember one time we were home for Christmas. We were my grandmother. Both of them were living in apartments in a independent living, like 10 or 15 story building. And Grandma was always so worried that we were going to be too loud. And there was this game called Pit.
Oh, I loved Pit.
And so, but Eddie could never say Pit. It was always pot, pot, pot. And it was just like, Eddie, what are you doing? And everybody would be dying laughing. Grandma's like, shh, they're going to throw me out of the apartment. And so I think about that. And so this Christmas, the coolest thing is that after Eddie's service, the church he was a part of, they made a teddy bear out of some of his shirts and put his name on it. And I have an Eddie that's going to be with us for Christmas. That kind of I'll hear
Cousin Eddie,
my Uncle Eddie. That's not cousin Eddie, but it'll be that sense that when we come to the table, my mom's going to be there. my Uncle Eddie's going to be there. My grandparents are going to be there. And wrapped all up in that moment is this kind of almost out of time and space moment when so many experiences and presences and memories just kind of all mingled together into this beautiful richness and depth that you can't even articulate. And it's sacred. And until you've been in that space, you just don't understand the whole idea that in God there is this eternity that transcends this moment, and we get a taste of it in seasons like this. If we can be still long enough and allow it to kind of engulf us and capture us and bring its gift to us.
Well, Steve, what do you say to the folks who aren't in that mindset or aren't in that place, who aren't able to be looking and anticipating like we are? I'm anticipating slowing down and being able to savor. There are some people dreading, and Christmas is coming, and they don't want it to come, and it's going to be hard. And it's still hard with me with losing my dad and brother. But what do you say to those folks who this is a challenging time?
Ecclesiastes says for everything there's a season. And because it's December 25th doesn't necessarily mean that it's Christmas in your life. And I think that we have to realize there's grief, there's brokenness, there's pain. It's a part of life. But this is going to sound flippant, and I'm almost not going to say it, but I am going to say it. Cindy's mom is known for her wisdom, and one of the things she embroidered and cross-stitched and gave to every one of the kids was, "This too shall pass." And it's this mingling of hope but also truth that says, as long as we keep showing up, as long as we keep being there each day, this season will pass. Good seasons will pass, bad seasons will pass.
Yep.
And when I talked about eternity, that's part of this sense of a transcendent idea that where we are is not where we're going to end up, and where we are is not our forever, but where we are is where we are. And I think that it's difficult for us to live in the tension of that. And for those of you that are living in your grief, that are living in your pain, we don't minimalize that. That's where you are. You gotta hurt. You gotta hurt before you can heal. But what I would say is this: just like the crucifixion leads to resurrection, your pain can lead to another place. But you can't get to the other place without going through the crucifixion and the pain. And
it's okay, and you have our permission to go through that.
And it's not
if
just,
you need permission from
that's
someone,
it. We'll give you a permission slip that says to be in that moment. But here's the caveat to that, Anthony, is that what I pray is that there are other people to be in that moment with you. Don't isolate yourself.
Right.
Don't just live in this by yourself. There are people who you may not even know who would love to be in that with you, to help you go through it until you can get to the other side. My mom and dad, one of their ministries they were in was Contact Ministry, which was a suicide hotline. And part of what Contact was is people called perfect strangers in their moments of desperation and tried to find hope. And so what I'd say is if you're in the midst of this and you've isolated yourself, don't do it alone. Call, even if it's Contact or a health line or something, and let somebody help you navigate through this, because this too shall pass.
And if things are good and you're savoring every moment, remember that this too shall pass as
Exactly.
well. So do savor and do enjoy and soak up every minute of it.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you soaking up some of our our moments here, and it is an honor. I mean, anybody to take time and listen to anything we might have to say.
Right.
I don't take that lightly.
No.
And we just are very grateful for you.
And what we pray for you in this holiday season is that somewhere the mysterious love of God will find his way into your heart and will take whatever circumstance you're in and bring you what you need in that moment. And we will say, part of our joy of doing this show is that we really hope it'll make a difference for some of you. And we will just say on our website, if you'd like to communicate with us, if you'd like for us to pray with you, don't hesitate to send that message. Do it on our Facebook page.
Absolutely.
We care about you. This is not just doing a show. My vision for this is that somehow we begin to feel like a family, and that we can be with each other through the moments in our life that we need it, and share with each other the joys that we have together. And
Bring it together.
That's it. And as Anthony said, it's our joy to share these moments with you. And hey, as always, remember, live loved.
From Steve and me and Cousin Eddie.
Merry Christmas. And to all, a good night.
You've been listening to The Difference, a presentation of The Hour. The Difference is made in conjunction with and partnership with the Institute for Southern Storytelling at Mississippi College. To find out more about the Institute and ways that we are partnering and mentoring young lives through storytelling, filmmaking, and more, visit us at southernstorytelling.mc.edu. And for more resources from The Hour and from The Difference, check us out at our Hour Stream platform with the streaming content at thehour.org. I'm Anthony Thaxton. Thanks for joining.